tells a man, in the sweat of your brow. It usually surprises people, but for me, that's what it describes us. And at the core, this is what the Bible teaches in Genesis 3, is that man, that is the male, is wounded. The female is also wounded. So if you're wondering why you're struggling to figure this relationship thing, it's because at the core, you're two wounded people. Now, let me explain clearly. The female wound is very different from the male wound. Okay? Yeah, I know you've been powered enough gospel today in church, but just allow me to, Genesis 3, when you read 17, it says, then the Lord God said to the woman, and to the woman he said, because thou hast done this, and eaten of the fruit I told you not to, I will increase your sorrow and your childbearing. So God says, hey, I own up, I'm the one going to increase the sorrow and the pain. And then he tells the woman, but you, what sin has done to you is this: your desire will be towards your husband, and he will rule over you. Now, we've misread that word desire to think that the woman is the one who's going to tamani. To understand the word desire, the best place to go actually is Luke 22. When you read, should be verse 21 or 31. 31. When Jesus is talking to Peter and telling him, hey, Simon, Simon, Satan has desired to have you, that he may do what? Sift you as wheat. Anyone reading that is not thinking, Satan is looking at Peter and thinking like, ooh, unless you have a really twisted mind. But anyone reading that is clear that what Jesus is telling Peter is this: what Satan wants to do with you is, the Swahili word is better, anataka healer. He wants to pull the strings, he wants to manipulate, almost like a marionette, okay, until Peter can do Satan's will. Now, when you apply that to Genesis 3, it brings the meaning more clearer. That the way sin wounded the woman, men, this is where you take notes, because kiboko yenu ikiiva, the women will be saying their men's. The way sin has wounded the woman is that the woman has a wound that I describe called the wound of love. Every woman, from my mother to my youngest sister to my nieces, is wounded outside of Jesus, has a wound. It's called the wound of love. Disclaimer, every wound has a question and every wound has a fear. Every. So the woman's question is asking herself is, will I be loved? And the fear is, will I be abandoned? Every woman. Men, when you see them that still, you know you're hitting home. Okay? Just a disclaimer. Every woman. That is why one secular song put it very well. Some of the things I'm telling you is what players know, and players use it for their good. That's why the song secular singer said, words don't come easily. If I told you, I love you, you'll be mine, right? It says, if I told you the right words at the right time, you'll be mine, okay? Even today when I tell my mom, uko smart, I see the blush of a 16-year-old. And of course, when the beauty with marriage is you become my boys, Yeah, so you can tell your wife like, hey, mazile unaweza mbaya, and yeah, you do all those things before you come looking serious on the pulpit. Yeah, you've already said those things. But every woman is always walking around with a question, will I be loved? And that is why they try paint themselves, they try dressing the things that are so tight, they do all those things, okay? It is because they're trying to increase their lovability. Okay? And then every woman has a fear of being abandoned. Now this is something, gentlemen, listen to me well. It's not like these women cannot propose, but it is not prudent for this simple reason. If I go to a girl and tell her, the Luo keep teaching me new words, nyako, inyedod kyunye, morkich, yeah, that's a Luo who knows what I have said. Try that on the Luo chick you're trying. It works. Let's begin by calling her morkich. It's a Luo word for honey. Inyedod kyunye, you're the gate to my heart. That's what you're telling me. when you go to a girl and tell her that, and then she tells you, talk to the left because you're not right, all those things. When you come back licking your wounds to your boys, and they ask you like, hey boy, kulendaje? This is how a man will answer. Aule dem akujisikia na story yangu. Akujisikia na nini? Story yangu. Let's reverse the roles. This girl bana imemshika. Every time ukiimba bezi asikiange words, anasikia ni kama is the expression. And then finally someone's up and says, "Eh brayo kuna vile maze mimi." Then you say like, "I don't feel the same way about you." When she goes to the girls, she will say, "He rejected me." Marked difference. The boys, akujisikia na story yangu. There's me, there's my story. How she rejected is my story. And so I can pick my story and take it to another one. Very readily, very quickly, prompt. But for the girl whom I have rejected her, yo kujiokota kujipeleka kwa mingine utaona kwa view sasa. It's not going to happen. Why? They are wounded that way from sin. Okay? The wound every woman carries is the wound of love. The question she's asking is, will I be loved? The fear she has is the fear of being abandoned. Okay? Abandoned emotionally, abandoned literally. And the way sin has therefore wired her, men listen, is she will want to pull the strings. So please forget, you didn't engage that lady kwa box. You didn't.
You did not. She
saw you 300 miles away. She put the clues far away umekuwa tu kiziokota. And then you come to your boys and say, "Mini ule msee." Let me tell you, there are places you go as a married person and you say, for some of us who do a lot of preaching, you say hi to everybody with a clean heart, and your wife will tell you like, "Hey, I don't see you around that girl," and you're like, "Huh?" Like, I was just saying hi to everyone, no, I don't see around that particular girl. Like, babes, in these years of marriage, you realize when your wife tells you some of these things, they were given that sixth sense called intuition, you don't argue, you sit at the feet and take in of the wisdom. Why? Because ladies, because of intuition, are able to see quite ahead. You understand? So when she tells you that, it tells you the truth. It's the same thing. She saw your intentions from a long while. But now they misuse it. They try and pull the strings. I keep telling the story of my friend who, he goes to visit his bro, so finds the bro is not there, finds his sister-in-law. They have a very good chat, very fun. Oh, they are happy, cool. Then the 5 figures and the bro is now meant to come. Then this is what his sister-in-law says, "Nataka kufura kwa hii nyumba. Nataka kufura mpaka nyama inunuliwe." And like it's a switch. The bro in gears, the wife just begins swelling. Like literally. Na nyama ililiwa kwa hiyo nyumba. If you ask this guy the next day, he says, "No, I provide for my family very well. Jana hata tulikula nyama full." He was being done what? And this is all outside of who? Outside of Christ. Every woman is what? Is wounded. Aye. As they lick their wounds, men.
Talk to us.
Every man is wounded. This is what God said to him. The curse was meant to be you. And then he says, "I will curse the ground for your sake." In other words, God said, "I will make work harder so that you're just not bored and idle." And you do know, man, if even the things we've been able to invent with sin and the sins we've been able to invent while life is hard are amazing. Now imagine there was no hard work to do what we do have invented. So God in mercy cast the ground. To at least he put bumps at how fast we can get into sin. But then he told us something interesting that will change us. He said, now, initially, your sense of your worth came from who I am. When you read Genesis 1:26, it says, then God said, "Let us make man in our image." Uliitwa mwanaume hata kabla uumbwe. Some things only come well in Swahili. When you read in Genesis 2, it says, then God formed the man out of the dust of the ground. and put his breath into the man. In other words, after God made that matope thing, he called it man. So, you see, this is the manipulation. I have to keep moving nearer the fire. So, in other words, a man in God's eyes is called a man, a male is called a man way before he performs anything. A man gets his identity not from what he does, but from who he is. He is. Yeye ni wanani. Mnanielewa? So God said, I want to make this guy, and I want to call him a man, prior to performance. But God says, now, sin, the way it has wounded you, is you will want to eat from the sweat of your brow. In other words, now a man will be twisted and equate his worth to his effort. Every man in this place, from the guy speaking to you, to your father back at home, and that guy who makes you feel vitu haujaisikia, is wounded. And he has a wound of effort. The wound of effort has a question. The question every man is asking is, am I doing it the right way? And the fear every man has is, do I have what it takes? Just come. I won't embarrass you, I promise you. What's your name? Hi, my name is Saya. Yes. What's the next question we normally ask as men?
What do you do?
Thank you. Thank you. Why are we doing that? We are sizing each other up. If Silas is my age mate and he's come with a Mitsubishi and I've come with a Futsubishi, I'm asking myself, am I doing it the right way? Do I have what it takes? When a fellow guy slices me, it's not that I'm wounded, it's that I'm asking, do I have what it takes? You know, I was brought up speaking Sheng, so the word that comes to my head is unatosha mboga. Every man is doing that. The reason we support Chelsea and Man U, forget the fact we've never left Nairobi, let alone gone to UK, is because we imagine there's something about our team winning that makes us or fills up part of that wound we have. Now, this has never changed from the days of our fathers to us. So that is what? Constant. Outside of God, the man is what? Wounded. The woman is what? Wounded. And the reason God tells the woman the man will rule over you is this. It's very simple. The woman, the way she's sorting her wound, she's pulling strings behind the scenes, winning the children over to her. Many marriages are just glorified prostitution where the woman is giving services based on certain things she wants. That's prostitution. Prostitution is the selling of principle for gain. That's prostitution. So a country can prostitute, a church can prostitute, people on the street can do what? Prostitute. So there's a lot of prostitution in this world, okay? So you need to even begin asking, is this person your bae or are you guys prostitutes? Like, are you selling a principle for gain? And I'm really serious on that. So while the woman is pulling the strings, the man is equating his worth to what he can offer. So the only way he can sort this out, the Bible says, is he will rule over you. Historica siezi control na kanyagia. So when the man is able, he will do that. So that part of us has never changed. My father is like that, your father is like that, my mother is like that, your mother is like that. Let's just accept it. But now, what has changed is this. There are three factors that are shaping the way modern relationships, both courtship and current marriages, are done. There are three S's that are shaping us tremendously. The three most striking things. Number one is called secularization. Secularization. Big words, eh? Sayama words, kubwa. Secularization ni word kubwa. What it simply means is when religious or God's ideas and institutions lose their control in an individual's life, that individual is said to have become what? Secular. Now, our parents were brought up in a marriage where God was default. And God's ideas was what? Was default. The thing that determined, you know, my father was not going to church when I was born. Funny story is, I'm Luya, so my mother is from Church of God. That's why people who know me very well know I like hymns, but I love South African music. I like music with a soul. You know, it resonates with the Luya in me. There's a Luya word that says Buyanzi Mundumbu. It means your joy is in this part of the world. You know, that's why when you see us doing our thing, that's how it is. So my mother from Church of God is married into an Adventist home. My father is not going to church. Asks my grandmother, watu kwanaenda kanisa wapi? So introduced to the Adventist church, remained there up to today. It's my mom who took us to church and stuff. Dad got to church later on. But then my father, who was not going to church, when he wanted to spank you, yes, and ask, no, we're not spanked, we're beaten. Those are two different ones. Spank looks like, okay, I will only beat the posterior. No, beating is, there's a difference between lala chini nitakuchapa viboko tatu na kuja hapa. You know, the latter meant it's war. So my dad would give you the Bible. He would give you the Bible. Then he knew the verses offered that endorsed beating. They endorsed beating. You read one, then he tells you soma ingine, you read another one, soma ya tatu. Then after that he plays victim. When he says, sasa sunona, si mimi nataka niye victim. But there's a problem. The Bible does not give intensity and number. There's no Bible verse that says give no more than 3. No, those ones are given to human interpretation. Ish. And you see, my dad, who was not going to church, could be able to use the Bible to inform his ideas about what? Discipline. Sikuizi guza mtoto wako. Hata wewe mwenyewe mzazi uguze mtoto wako. One of the spouses is up in what? In arms. Because increasingly we are a very secular-minded people. God's ideas, God's institutions, and God's word have lost their hold in our lives. This is not condemning, this is just stating the reality. Certainly it is a danger. It's because when we become, I think what is happening is we have opened our hands so wide to try and accommodate everything that I fear when we finally close it together, we will strangle ourselves with just how wide we have stretched our arms. So the first reality is a lot of secularization, even among spouses. And you'll even be shocked when you're dating, what you take to be a given is not a given with your bae. You know, some people sleeping and having sex before marriage is a no, but nudies are okay. Like, no, we're not sleeping. Like, we're just sharing art, you know. And these are Christian. These are Christians, by then we'll be so shocked what some of us have to listen to and cancel on out there. So it is because increasingly we become very secular in mind. So that's the first reality. Number two, the second thing that has changed or increased from our parents' time to our time is sensuality. Now, the problem when we use certain words, they sound very sexual. Sensuality just means leaning on the senses. That's what it means, you know. We're a very sensual, very, very sensual generation, you know. Facebook has fine-tuned their algorithms so that all your senses are in. That is why no matter how you woke up in the morning with a to-do list, you're wondering, why is it 11 and I've not done one thing, but I've updated my status 15 times? It's because they have managed to understand how to interpret the word, the senses. And this is a big danger with sensuality, is because the operation of life has been inverted. Normally, it's meant to be the mind controls the senses, but now it's the senses that are doing the thinking, controlling the mind. And so, you find a lot of marriages and dating relationships are made on the basis of vilona feel. And you hear the hashtags, Where's Mogusu? You know the hashtags, you do you, vilona feel, cheza kama wewe. You know, those are the hashtags. They're very what? Sensual. They're not biblical at the end of the day. And you'll be amazed, you'll be so amazed how this impacts marriage. So you find financial decisions, even in marriage, are made because of how we feel. So we've taken a house we barely can afford because it makes us feel good. Trust me, debt will not make you feel as good. Okay? We want our children to go to a certain school, not because of the values that we learn, but because others knowing they are there, what it will make us feel. We buy dresses with our credit cards because of how it will make us feel. Did you realize the human digestive system has changed the past 10 years? That nowadays enzymes cannot digest food that has not been photographed.
I've noticed.
And pilots cannot know where they are going until their passengers take photos of their boarding passes and let the whole world know where they're going. Otherwise, the pilot may just fly to the wrong destination. Hashtag life goals. Hashtag traveling to this and this other place. We are a very central generation. And then reality number 3 is something I call science. Now this one I need to explain slowly so you can understand. And let me begin with a disclaimer. I am a scientist. I've studied Bachelor of Science in Zoology. I have a Master's in Medical Parasitology. So anything with an ology I do, okay? We are in a generation where if it is not scientific, it's not true. It's not going to be believed. You realize we're using a form of science to push things like the gay agenda. We're using some forms of science to push certain ideas of psychology that then influence how we treat men, how we treat women, how we discipline our children, how we order our lives. But I think it is a very unthinking approach. Strange that it comes from a scientist. And let me explain. Truth is like the fist. Truth is like the what? It's like the what? Good. Science is just one finger. So it is one way of knowing some truths. But it is not the only way to know all truth. That's my mother tongue way of asking, are we together? Yeah. Okay. Science is one of the ways of knowing what? Some truths, but not what? All truths. The science method is brilliant, but it is not all-knowing. Imagine when you're going for the picnic, and I hope the Adventist men have improved. I've really, by the way, this is me digressing. I've really been trying to write a book on pickup lines. My boy wako down. Mazizi text mwaweka mko chini squeezy. Nasikianga vitu mademo na complain nasema, kwani mistari ziliisha, you know? Yeah? Even try those old school boring ones, you know, like, hey, are you hurt? Why? You look like an angel who just dropped. You know, tuanze hizo. Maboy mistari mko chini. And picnic hygiene. Msichana amepika mandazi usiku mzima, amekuja, boy amekuja na lesson. You know, that's what is showed up with the picnic lesson. Lesson has its place, not the picnic, please. Akipika mandazi nunua juice. Tufanye nini? Tukule. So when you meet with Bay, and then you come and he's like, Bay, I've missed you, and then hugs you. How do you feel? Oh, you guys are mostly single. You feel good. For those who don't know, okay? But somebody tell me the science lab or the science experiment that will be able to quantify the lavometer for that. It's none. It's none. But is the love, is the feeling real? Is the feeling there? But can science examine it? No. Science is limited. Can science tell you how your heart beats? It can, right? It can tell you the right auricle, the right ventricle, and those things that made you drop biology. It tells you all those things, right? But can science tell you why you have life? No. Can it tell you the meaning of life? No. It can't. Can science tell you if Jesus existed? It can't. What can tell you? History or archaeology, not science. So you begin already seeing the limitedness of what? Of science. But then now we've reached a point where we are saying, if it's not scientific, me, I'm not taking it. Like this Bible thing is just some people's ideas. And so if it is not scientific, me, I'm not doing what? I'm taking it. And that's part of the environment within which we are running our dating and our worldview as we date and as we do what? as we marry. It is so relentless, it's so continuous because of the digital revolution we are living through, that at times we have imbibed of these things unthinking and unscrutinizingly. But then they are influencing us. The only way I would know if my girlfriend got my letter is when she replied, back when I was in high school. Now we have a demon called Blue Tick, who has been responsible for breaking more relationships, than we can be able to bother to do what? To count. So you become a generation of instant what? Gratification. But we forget that that the way God ordained life is that product will always follow process. Product will always follow what? Process. So because of these three realities, secularization, sensuality, and science, we imagine we can short-circuit process and still get the same what? Product. We imagine that because we can get information at the click of a finger, that affection can equally be built at that speed. It's not true. The way affection is built is almost as slow as it was done between my mother and my what? My father. Because it's a human process. It's not a science-induced kind of thing. So all of these things to say, it means we walk either into marriage or into the dating experience with some unrealistic expectations at two extremes. Number one, we over-trust what our current generation can be able to achieve, and we underrate the wisdom of the previous generations. Something needs to be done to bring those two together. So I have three suggestions of things we need to do in order to be able to navigate modern dating and be able to make sense of marriage. And let me say this as a disclaimer even before I begin saying those three things. Number one disclaimer some myths I need to break is that marriage exists to fix dating problems, a lie from the devil cooked in his hell. Marriage does not fix dating problems. What is misty during dating is foggy in marriage. If it is misty in dating, it is foggy in what? Marriage. Reality number two, dating exists for two purposes only. After all the chips is eaten and all the ice cream is leaked, after all the picnic sites have been visited and all the messages have been sent, the whole essence of dating is two things. Number one, to know the framework of this person. The real guy is waiting. The real guy will emerge, but you need to know the what? The framework of this person. And then number two is to be able to know how to negotiate with them. The longest negotiated arrangement under heaven is called marriage. And it is true because you have to negotiate as a changing person, a changing, wounded person, always negotiating with another changing, wounded individual. My boy, mademu fikanga hii age ya 35 hivi, wanagundua hawawezi rudi sweet 16 tena. And the beauty is when they reach that point, there's a new boldness that comes out. Your wife shows up. Because she smells the coffee and realizes, wait a minute, I'm no longer that sweet 21 who needs to be pampered and babied. No, I'm a 35-year-old. My life needs to be done what? Together. And so, if you're not made aware of that, you'll be like, hey, Ngoja, come slowly. Only one of us can wear pants in this house. Or you can become a smart guy who realizes, no, wait, she's showing up. Let me do what? Be the wind beneath her wings. Because as she soars, women have a way, when they soar, they take you up with them. Men, not always too sure. So, dating, I'm just busting a few myths. Dating, at the end of the day, is just to know two things. What's the framework of this person? Let me say something there. When I show you who I am, believe me. Don't excuse me or explain me. When I show you who I am, do what? Believe me. Sasa shida yetu ya dating ni moja. We date in very limited ways and very unrealistic. Obebo will tell you, they don't eat in Java daily. It's neither healthy nor sustainable. Ni sustainable, boss, eh? Viazi tatu mia ngapi? Hapana, tukuli hivyo daily. You know, school fees will be a reality check one day. But then, how do we date? Leo ni Java, kesho ni wapi? You know, you're in very controlled what? Environments. No, that's not how you see people. Date variably, date realistically. Variably means, leo tumekuja hivi, this is a very bougie. The whole week I've been speaking at Kahawa Wendani. Yeah, I'm sure if I told the youth that this is happening, they'll be like, hey, you pesa si wangetoa ya zaka. Even your Babylon imeingia kwa kanisa. So this is a very chilled out, very easy environment. So if this is all you're ever doing, you're only seeing them through 1D. Okay? Go to camp, then be split into groups, you know, and you're sleeping in tents. And gentlemen, that's where you make the decision of your wife. Ile sura anamka nayo asubuhi, pre-makeup, yo pre-makeup, ile uko na ile sauti anamkanga nayo. Kawaida akiimba soap ni hallelujah, lakini akiamka asubuhi anafanya ndani aje. Kama unaweza mpenda saa hizo, huyo ni bibi. Unaona kabla nywele imeangalia all directions za compass. Kama unapenda what you see, you know, and then, but in other words, I'm saying, date variably. See them when they're with people whom they are more powerful than. See them when they're with people who are more powerful than them. See them when they're with people who are equal to them. Nikitusi watchman na nikuje nikuvutie kiti, mimi ni fake. Nikidharau house girl, lakini nikuite be, mimi ni muongo. See how I deal with the people I hate. In marriage, things are real. You will soon be that person. I do what I hate. And you need to ask yourself, hii treatment umse anakulwa, ninataka kukulwa hiyo treatment. If you can make peace with it, sawa. My father calls marriage msumari. He says your spouse is your msumari, ulijichagulia. None of us tulichaguliwa. So when you begin complaining, unaambia ulijichagulia nini? Msumari. Kalia kama umefanya nini? Kimya. Pambana na hali yako. Pole pole hapo hivyo. So dating does not, marriage does not exist to solve dating problems. So date realistically, date variably. And then what is misty in marriage will be foggy in what? What is misty in dating will be foggy in marriage. So, and then what do I need? What other myth do I need to do? Is to remind the girls two things. This is specifically for the girls. Girls, number one, by nature you are wired to nurture. You're wired to nurture. Can I borrow 5 more minutes? I'm seeing the MC up. Please, can I? Please? Yes. Thanks. MC, you overruled. Thanks. Girls, you're wired to nurture. That's a strength, but it's also your biggest flaw. At a funeral of a guy who everyone knew this guy was a thug. Not a thief, this guy was a thug. He was even gunned down. That's how he died. Everyone is pussyfooting around the issue, but we all know this guy died. You know, a thief. The mother stands to eulogize the son and says, "Uyu kijana, uyu mtoto," that's a big man, a thief. "Uyu mtoto alikuwa huko nje akijitafutia vile alikuwa anajitafutia." Even in death, the son is dead. The mother is not willing to admit mtoto alikuwa mwizi. Alisema alikuwa anajitafutia. Like, no, you see, this guy was killing people and mugging them. Women are wired to do what? To nurture. And that is why you wonder why you're with Kivos and Brayos. You know, Jamani player kuruka. It is because something in you is seeing the bad boy side of them, but is also thinking, how can they be nurtured to be better people? Now the Kevos and the Brayos of this world use that to sneak into your heart. The one time you are allowed to exercise sanctified selfishness is when you are making the choice of a spouse. Amen. You can't just give yourself to anybody. You need to exercise what I call what? Sanctified selfishness. Okay? Then number two, women, one thing our mothers got brilliantly well, and I don't know why they don't seem to be able to transmit it, is they were able to read potential and invest in it. This heri nilie kwenye Range Rover kuliko nicheke kwa boda boda is a myth. It's a lie. Till death do you part ni long. Hiyo bodaboda utashuka wewe mwenyewe, hiyo Range Rover utashuka kusema ile bodaboda inakwanga wapi? Anaenda kufuatia story na kisha. Sasa unajua. So when you listen to most of the stories of how our fathers began, and our mothers, they have these stories of tulianza na bed sitter, na mattress, na nini, you know, but what our mothers don't normally tell you too well is the Bible to see, okay, this guy has graduated, he's not just warming his mother's seat at home, sitting, anatoka, he's showing more than potential, he's showing kinetic, he's moving, he's doing this. Sahi yuko kwa 7K, lakini tukiendelea hii 7K with this effort consistently over time, I'm seeing a few more zeros being added to it, and I'm willing to invest on what? On that. But squeezy, we want product without the what? My boy, tuko down. Many of us tumekaa nyumbani, we are warming our mother's houses. Ukiulizwa plan ni gani? I mean, kana vision. Natenda 20 niko na vision, 25 niko na vision, 30 niko na ini vision, 20, 30 tuanze kuona ka kinetic. Useme tu nina potential, tuanze kufanya nini? Kinetic. At least ndo madem waweze kuona nini hiyo kinetic, wafanye nini? Wa invest. It is easier to turn a moving vehicle than a stationary one. Heri ukue down kuliko hauko. Kuna tofauti. At least ukiwa uko down, tunajua kitu tunaweza fanya. Lakini hauko tu kusaidiaje. So, na sengine maboy ikuwa down, tunafunikanga na spiritual. Tunafunikanga na spiritual. Uko biasi down. Tukutane nyuma ya tent, my boy. Three things I think we need to be able to be successful in modern day dating and subsequently marriage. Number one is reasons. Reasons. We need to have a Bible way of thinking of the right reasons for marriage. Are we together? Remember, we are a very sensual generation, so the way to overcome sensuality as a basis of decision is to form reasons that are biblical and are well grounded. And you'll be so shocked, marriage is not a company. One of my very good friends told me, sir, the way I see marriages in Africa ni kama mna form company. Mkishaoana mapenzi inaisha, mnaanza kuongea biashara. Sasa ile shamba tutanunua aje? Watoto tutasomesha aje? Ni kama mliform Sire and Sire company ya kusomesha watoto. Those are byproducts of marriage. Marriage was formed centrally for two reasons. Number one, it was God's way of perfecting your character. Number two, it is God's vehicle for helping you fulfill his purpose for your life and you helping someone else fulfill their purpose for what? For their life. Hizi zingine ni kachumbari, ni sosa, ni vitu za kando. The money you make, those are enablers. Money is a reward, money is a temporary thing, money is a fuel. Okay? But then the problem is we become so focused on the enabler that we forget what is being enabled. Okay? So we need to go back to Bible-based reasons for marriage and for dating. Therefore, tule tu beef tunakwanga nato to upuzi tudogo. Imagine alini blue tick, so what? You know, in the grander scheme of things, this blue ticking does not fit anywhere here or what? Or there. So number one is we need to look at Bible-based what? Reasons. And when I say reasons, they need to be thought through properly. At times, sorry to say, young Adventists were raising up a generation of very shallow thinkers. People who are by the way. The people who are kama nani. No, it needs to be reasons. You can be able to say, the reason I want to get married is A, B, C, D. And this is important because in an increasingly feministic society, where women now are deliberately getting children without the benefit of a spouse, deliberately. We need to be able to have a Bible-based way of thinking and saying, no, the reason I want a father and a husband is because marriage is not a good idea. It is because marriage is God's idea. Amen. As a vehicle to perfect my purpose. And if we don't have that, then at the quickest win, when marriage begins becoming challenging, it'll be, let me say something here as I move to my second point. Unaona ule dem ama ule boy ni beste yako, ule beste kabisa. Oh, huyo. Oh. Wacha niache hiyo, nakuja tu hiyo second. I'll expand on it shortly. So ya kwanza nimesema ni nini? Reasons. Ya pili ni rhythms. Na maboy si rhythm, ni rhythms. Wale watu wa kusikiza vitu fani. What I mean by rhythms is the way you translate reasons into something you can practically live out is by creating rhythms, ways by which you practice. So what I mean is this. In our youth groups, in our camps, in our sports Sundays and stuff, let's get ways of letting men be able to understand the principles of what it is to be a man, and let them be able to associate with the ladies in a way that allows them to exercise what it means to be a virtuous man. Amen. Otherwise, we make the practice to be done in marriage, which then does not work. The man has not learned what it is to be courteous. We've not put people in teams where men learn to be courteous with women. We've not put women in teams where they learn to be cooperative with male folk and be able to understand. And as a net result, when they finally get into marriage, it is when they're trying to build rhythms, which doesn't quite work. I'm not saying tucheze cha baba na cha mama ya watu wakubwa, but what I'm saying is let us construct our interactions so that they will be able to give us practical opportunities to be able to serve each other, to be able to get into each other's world, to be able to model what it means to be a Christian man, to be able to model what it means to be a what? A Christian woman ahead of marriage. Maboy, najua tumeambiwa mwanaume ni, kila mwanaume ana sauti, pesa ndio volume. You know, we are treated as though you have an inbuilt manual that just turns on automatically when you get married. It is not true. We need male mentorship that pulls men aside and not only tells them what it means to be a man, but gives them opportunities to practice what it means to be a man. Yes. We need women mentorship programs that move beyond the theory of femininity, but also gives them opportunities to be able to exercise godly what? Femininity. So that people are not meeting this the first time in marriage. And so marriage becomes a circus of sorts. So number one is Bible-based reasons. Number two is experiential life rhythms. And number three is meaningful relationships. To prepare guys, the best way to know how the road ahead looks like is to ask somebody who is coming from that direction. Indo fallacy siufanya. Suzy amechizi Alan. Suzy yuko 22, Alan yuko 25. Suzy anaenda kuuliza mabeste mademu wake, rieng yake, wale wako 22. Maze mnaonaje Alan? Then it is 22-year-old advising a 22-year-old about a 25-year-old. Madness. Madness. Absolute nonsense. And I'm using that one not in its derogatory sense, but just to mean it does not make sense. A class 3 cannot tell a fellow class 3 about class 8 exams. They don't know nothing. If a class 3 wants to know about a class 8, the best person to ask is a form 1 who's walked it through. So the best way to prepare for modern relationships and marriage is to walk with people who've gone through it. So I'm happy that the cast you've brought today are able to do that. Let me give you a practical example. This is how I did my premarital counseling. Disclaimer, I didn't sit with a pastor and he counseled. No, what I did was this. I picked a couple of way mature male friends who were married for a while. I like this one, how he ran money. I like this one, how he talked candidly about sex. Yes, I said the word sex in front of church people. It's a thing we talk less about but do a lot of. Yeah. Okay? So, and then I liked this one because of how he treated his wife. I like this one because of his play. And so I spent contact hours intentionally with each one of them. So by the time nilikuwa napata ile ya mchungaji, not saying it badly, ilikuwa top up. Because I had sat with people who are sitting where I wanted to do what? To sit. So the third important thing is to build relationships. Listen to me, younger generation. The mess we've been building has been for 20 years. It will not be solved by a tweet. We're in a generation where if the thing is more than a tweet, if the video is longer than 3 minutes, I'm not engaging. No, marriage is until death do you part. A tweet would fix it. Go sit with people who've been where you're going to and have done it successfully and ask them 2 simple questions. What is the journey to getting there? And what is the experience like when you get there? When you get the answers for those 2 things, then you're able to know. And secondly, love is blind, but the neighbors are not. And so they're able to see what you guys are teething about, and they're able to tell you what you're willing to overlook is really what you should be concerned about. And what you're really bothered about is an issue. And that is why now I'm explaining my thing. Marriage has a way of shaking you to what you are at the core. After the first lavidavi honeymoon, normally something will happen that you will be shaken to where you are at the core. If you guys are friends, the marriage is a nice way to build up. If you guys were attracted by sentiment, it's going to be troublesome. That is why this thing of, oh, bro, so-and-so, sister, so-and-so, ishe. If she didn't come from your mother or from your uncle, she ain't your bro. She ain't your bro. She ain't your bro. That person who is your friend, Baka, by the look on your face, they can tell you like, ujakula leo. That one, huyo. Unaweza mwambia, by the leo, itabidi tuchape chapo dondo juu jaba haikuwa. None of you is judging the other. Huyo, that's the wife. That's the husband. At the end of the day. Because when sentiment is done, marriage is real. Do you know what Karen and I like doing at home on Saturday after we've had a long preaching day? Is we want to pop popcorn and just sit and eat. Which right lawyer man would if my uncles had this, they would pull me aside for failing. Your popcorn siaga upike ugali, upike ende nyumbani. You know, but because we are friends, I'm like, babe, leo form ni gani ni popcorn. You know, we've reached ile utoto ya, we like eating something called gonja, plantain chips. Those things are, I think they were picked from the tree of life. You know, those things. So, and they only come from Uganda, so we get them once in a while. Tumefika ile utoto ya, it is the thing that is open when we are together. Like, mekula tatu, min mekula tatu. You know, we've reached that level of what? Of ease. If we were all pretending and stuff, it doesn't. My wife one day made a very funny comment and said, "Maze marriage unazoeana mpaka when somebody farts, you even know." Akaniambia like, mpaka you even know when you're in a crowd, if your husband farts, you're like, you're umetoka kwangu, you're nyumba yangu. Kama hamwezi fika hapo, iko shida. But let me finish. Hey. Wait, I need to come back to talk to you guys. I don't want to be known as a guy who overtakes his time. So, marriage still works. Marriage is deep, deep fun. Deep, deep fun. Regardless of what the press tells you out there, Maina Kageni is not married. Knyani has been hiding his wife for the longest time. Yet they have become the default high priests and teachers of marriage. Don't listen to them. Marriage works. Chema ujiuza, kibaya ufanya nini? So the bad press you're hearing about marriage ni kibaya kinajitembeza. Sisi ambao tuna enjoy morkich, asalia marriage, we can prove to you this thing works. But the truth is this, it is work. Okay? And let me finish with this quote. Everything worth having in life is built. It's not bought. Everything worth having in life is built. It's not bought. And if we have rhythms, reasons, and relationships, we have the tools to build marriages worth having. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nyagasaya.